Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. So here I am again to talk about yet another low budget feature that hardly anyone knows about, if at all. Yes, again, it's another Western film I'll be talking about, folks, quite clearly as you can see. But it's low budget, it's obscured, and it's a blast from the past. So here we are, I take it, I suppose. I just figured I'd just do this here because might as well, I suppose, because I've already reviewed quite a few of these. Anyway, springtime in the Rookies. So, of course, as always, let's talk about the plot, shall we? So, here we go. Oh, yeah. Anyway, this film is centered around that there's this, of course, night ranch kind of a thing going on here. The King Ranch foreman learns that the neighboring rancher is bringing sheep into the area. So the main character rushes to the ranch, that specific one, concerned that a hot headed cattle rancher may attempt to kill him. So, of course, he's trying to do the right thing. And the person was once ruined financially by sheep ranching. So, of course, the main character is able to stop the individual from bringing in a sheep, and let's just say things that do get quite complicated, so to speak, of course. So yeah, let's just say it goes around that kind of a thing. But yeah, I don't see why it can't have a drama. Might as well, I guess. The story does revolve around a ranch owner who brings a flock of sheep into this cattle country, causing tension with the local ranchers. So yes, of course, our main character must attempt to fix the problem, but will he actually do it in time? And what can be done here? Of course, this situation must be fixed because all the chaos that's going on here. Of course, it's not going to be an easy fix, quite clearly, but yet here we are, of course. And that's the thing, though. I can see that there has to be some kind of conflict to push the story forward in some kind of way, and that's what happens with these kinds of movies. As I said multiple times before, folks, if there's no conflict, then there's no drama. And if there's no drama, then there's no reason for me to care whatsoever. And there has to be some kind of conflict going on within the story here. And it shows. Alright then, so that's pretty much the bottom line what's going on here. There's conflict and whatnot. So yeah, some of these are bound to happen with these kinds of movies. And this one's pretty straightforward. It's barely under an hour, really. But that's fine though. Sometimes keeping it short is much better, of course. That's the thing here. It has to be that kind of way sometimes because sometimes that's what makes it work better. A lot of ways, at least as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, the story itself isn't. I guess it does attempt to tell a story in its own little way with kind of characters, of course, with this setting. I actually didn't mind the trying to use this as a setting, really. You might as well, I guess. Because the good guy character must, of course, do some kind of thing to ease the conflict, but it's not going to be easy, quite obviously. No, it's not going to be easy whatsoever. But anyway, that's the thing, though. This, of course, is fairly straightforward. There's a bit of singing going on, but that's to be expected when it comes to these kinds of movies. And yeah, he sings a few songs during this movie. The main character, I mean. But yes, of course, and that's definitely is a thing here, quite obviously, the singing. I know that may seem off putting for some people because singing isn't really the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to these types of movies, of course. But it was popular at the time. This kind of thing was really popular at the time. So, of course, you want to do this kind of a thing where you have some singing involved. I mean, it doesn't bother me really because I've seen this kind of stuff before when it comes to some kind of musical kind of thing, really. But that's the thing, though. But anyway, Yes, it's very straightforward when it comes to storytelling. I mean, yes, of course, it's definitely a product of its time. When you think about it, that definitely is the case here, of course. And yes, obviously, our main character is faced with a problem, as in this ranch owner is, of course, some kind of, well, with the sheep and all that, like I was saying earlier. I mean, of course, they're trying to give the characters personalities, of course, to some extent, of course. The direction in which the director was aiming for was pretty solid as a whole, and the direction wasn't too bad, of course. The action itself is pretty fast paced with pretty decent, decent plot line, of course, and whatnot. But yeah, it's a pretty crazy one as a whole. But yeah, ultimately, I can say that this is definitely something I would recommend for anyone that wants to watch some old Western movies, if that's your cup of tea, that is. I know it's I know it's really old, but I know a lot of people would probably just want to not talk about it just because of that. But personally speaking, I'm fine with it. I've often talked about old movies anyway. Come to think about it, I often do that to begin with, so it's fine. I don't really mind it really. Ultimately, I can definitely say is that this movie has its moments, I suppose. Throughout the entire thing, it has moments, I suppose. But I would only recommend this movie for anyone that's really into these types of movies specifically. Otherwise, you probably won't enjoy it. I know the fact it's in black and white, the fact is it's old, the fact it's low budget. Yes, I do realize that's gonna be a turn off. A lot of people. I mean, for me personally, I didn't mind it really because as mentioned before, I've watched some of these types of movies anyway, and if anything, I prefer these type of stuff. I prefer these old movies that hardly anyone would talk about really. But that's just my cup of tea though. I've watched these types of movies way back when they were first originally released. Yes, I'm that damn old. Oh, definitely. I remember these way back when. And if I want to, I could revisit them. And that's sometimes what I've done here really. What yeah, that's the thing though. There's always something I may have missed, maybe some movie I haven't seen yet, and that sometimes is the case. Or maybe sometimes I haven't seen a movie that came around the early days of cinema, of course. But anyway, I just thought I'd just talk about this as a way just to talk about more about Western and whatnot, because I've talked about low budget stuff anyway to begin with, and this is definitely one of them. I thought this was a pretty solid feature as a whole when it comes to the acting, the direction, script writing, and yes, even the music that was placed for this movie, of course. And but that's the thing. And yes, I know stuff like this may be just a turn off for a lot of people, but yikes. I know a lot of people may not want to watch this just because, for these kinds of things. Just because it has singing, that's because it was always way back, is made way back when, and that somehow is enough to not watch it, which I think is ridiculous, but whatever. I mean, yes, of course, back then people have different tastes in movies. Yes, of course, people out there were different. The different type of audiences were not the same like it was now. I can see that. Sure, I get it. Well, that's the thing though. Just because it's old doesn't necessarily mean it's bad either. Anyway, I just think let's just wrap it up, shall we? Oh, definitely. Anyway, I'll give this film an overall rating of a 7.0 out of 10. It's a 7.0 out of 10 for me. Of course, as always, thanks for watching. See ya. Oh yeah, later.